This is Game Set Match Kentucky episode 23, recorded July 16th, 2021, entitled A Bird Poops on Your Racket. Hey everybody, it's time for a fourth season of Game Set Match Kentucky, where we talk about all things related to the Central Kentucky Tennis Series and probably a whole lot more that you never asked for. This is Friday, July 16th. I'm Chris Godby, the chairman and one of the founders of the CKTS, where the lines are good and sandbagging is for golf. As always, I'm here at the CKTS home office in Russell Springs, Kentucky. Back with me today from the suburbs of Bowling Green is the director of one of our CKTS tournaments, as well as the tennis coach at South Warren High School, home of the Spartans. By day, he's the program director of Talk 104.1 FM and 9:30 a.m. radio in Bowling Green, where he hosts a morning drive time talk show, which I just found out is also broadcast on television. So, Chad Young, the celebrity, welcome back.
I don't know if I go that far, but speaking of far, we're pretty far from the suburbs of Bowling Green. But the way the drive is on Scottsville Road, it feels like I'm just a suburb.
So how far? Like if you're going to practice at South Warren, from your house, how long are we talking about?
To go through the country to get to South Warren, it takes me about 25 minutes to get to South Warren.
Okay.
I want to be at Greenwood. It takes me about 15 to 20.
So I think is it the bigger the city or the smaller the city, the closer in you consider the suburbs? Because like my brother lives about 45 to 50 minutes from Atlanta, but that's still considered the suburbs of Atlanta.
Yeah. I mean, Bowling Green's not Atlanta, obviously, but as it grows,
it's catching up one day.
Talk about South Warren. I mean, South Warren used to seem like it was, a little ways outside of Bowling Green. It doesn't feel like that anymore. So as Bowling Green expands, you're 15, 20 minutes outside of downtown and you're in the suburbs.
That's true. It grows. Bowling Green grows every time I'm there. It seems I'm only there a few times a year, and it just seems like it gets bigger and more crowded and busier every time I go.
Yeah, and they're doing a lot of construction on Scottsville Road and a lot of construction on I-65. Right now, it's kind of a mess.
On this episode today of Game Set Match Kentucky, we're going to look back at a crazy 2020. I'm wearing my 2020 CKTS t-shirt right now in honor of that craziness, and how this craziness ultimately led to this show going MIA for a year. To be precise, it's been a year and 2 days since the last episode aired. I'll talk about that with you. Also, Chad and I are going to look back at the 2020 season end point standings. But first, Chad, we have a brand new sponsor for Game Set Match Kentucky, and I want to salute them today. I want to welcome Family Medical Centers as a sponsor of this program. Family Medical Centers is a community health center with more than 135 locations and has been providing health care to Kentuckians for over a decade. If you're looking for a medical home, make the clinics of Family Medical Centers your first choice. They provide primary care, school-based health care, behavioral health services, oral health services, telehealth, and both pediatric and OBGYN specialty care. For a complete list of locations and providers, check out their website at CFMCKY.com. That stands for Cumberland Family Medical Centers of Kentucky, CFMCKY.com. Now, Chad, sometimes you get sick after 5 p.m., do you not?
Yes, I do.
I usually get sick after 5 p.m., like maybe it's after work or something like that. Well, Doctor On Call telehealth services are available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Doctor On Call brings the convenience and safety of anytime care to your home, car, or workplace through your phone, computer, tablet, or laptop. Now, please pull over first if you're going to reach out to telehealth Doctor on Call, please pull over first if you're in your car. But Doctor on Call is a perfect alternative to costly ER visits, exposure during times of social distancing, for high-risk patients, or when you need care on your schedule. For more information, check them out on Facebook at Dr. On Call KY. That's DRONCALLKY. Also, Chad, your mental health matters. As a tournament director, it definitely matters, does it not?
There's no doubt about that.
Especially what?
Especially with last year.
Oh, for sure. New View Telehelp Counseling brings the convenience of personalized behavioral health services provided at a location convenient to you through your phone, computer, tablet, or laptop. Our team is made up of licensed and certified behavioral health professionals with a variety of backgrounds and years of experience who offer behavioral and mental health services anywhere in the state of Kentucky. To set up an appointment, call 270-858-6655, extension 3388. And a big thank you to our brand new sponsor, Family Medical Centers. Chad, will you tell us about Vision Cabinet Source?
Well, we want to say thank you to our longtime sponsor of the Game Set Match podcast, Vision Cabinet Source. It's a kitchen and bath cabinet supplier that ships all over the United States and has for over a decade. If you're building a new home or renovating your home, Vision Cabinet Source can provide you with classic cabinet styles that are well built and affordable. They have many different painted and stained lines of cabinets that are stocked at their warehouse in Campbellsville. In making these beautiful cabinets, they have a 17-step finishing process that assures top quality craftsmanship. Don't just take it from me. Go look at their styles and designs for yourself, and you'll agree that they do great work at an affordable price. Check them out on their website, visioncabinet.com, or you can call them at 270-465-3222. That's 270-465-3222. And tell them you heard about Vision Cabinet Source right here on Game Set Match Kentucky.
And Vision Cabinet Source owner Jason Ford, if you happen to have just heard this, you got to hear that from a professional radio guy reading copy for you for free. And
Right.
By the way, I brought up their website since you mentioned their website. I brought it up here on the screen. And if you visit visioncabinet.com, no joke. I mean, if you go to their gallery, just some beautiful stuff, except for this picture, because Jason's in the picture. I'm just joking with you, Jason. But if you just scroll through what they offer, you're going to find some really cool stuff in a variety for all tastes.
It's a good gallery for sure.
Yep. So big thank you to Vision Cabinet Source. Well, Chad, let's look back at a crazy 2020. Now, we say it was crazy, but we managed to play every single one of our scheduled tournaments. We had to do a bit of rescheduling, but we got them all in. And, you ran 2 tournaments last year. Yeah. What were your impressions of 2020 as a season for CKTS?
When we met in the fall directors meeting and we realized that we actually got them all done, it was kind of amazing. Considering that there were some big hurdles. I know from my experience, there were a lot of hurdles. There were a couple times that we were in the week of the tournament still scrambling to get approval from the health department or from the school system or various entities that we had to submit COVID plans to. That was the most difficult thing, other than the rescheduling, was all the COVID protocols. The tournaments themselves went really well, went pretty smoothly. Everybody was excited to be out. I don't think we played our first one until July. So
correct.
At that point in time, people had kind of been cooped up for 3 months or longer. And so I thought there was a great environment for the tournaments last year. I think people were very thankful that we could have something like that, even if it was into September and October. I know it was a lot colder than what we usually have for our tournaments. Ours are usually in June and August. But yeah, it was all in all, I thought it ended up being a pretty good year on the tour.
It led to also to some advancements for us as an organization. For example, we didn't want actual currency changing hands, so we set up online prepayment for our tournaments, which it had its share of hiccups, but I think overall it was okay.
That was a big challenge. That was one of the most difficult things was invoicing people, getting that money collected, and that led to some of the advancements that I know that you worked a lot in the off season to try to get the prepayment as part of registration. But I think when it's all said and done, that's going to be a big step in the right direction for all of our tournament directors.
And it still has a little bit of ways to go to be, what I would consider sort of a perfect system. But we are still working on online prepayment. And again, there's a few little hiccups here and there, but so far after 3 tournaments in 2021, it's going okay. And we're going to continue to improve that for you players that have played a few of our tournaments this spring. We're going to keep working the kinks out of that too, and other things on our website. So speaking of 2020 and what we went through as a tour, USTA Kentucky, they published their yearbook every spring and covering the previous year. And they gave the CKTS a good little write-up in their most recent issue of the yearbook. And it's just a few sentences. I wanted to read it here. It's called, the title was Central Kentucky Tennis Series has a strong year despite COVID. The Central Kentucky Tennis Series had an awesome summer 2020 despite the pandemic. After a delayed start, they were able to arrange a schedule that allowed the play of all 8 originally scheduled tournaments. The CKTS saw some of the best participant numbers in 17 years as an organization. That's correct. Didn't we have a strong turnout?
Yeah, I mean, we had big numbers. I know in both of my tournaments, we've had bigger numbers this year so far. But I think that speaks to what I talked about with people kind of being eager to get out and participate in any activity, indoor or outdoor, and certainly outdoor was allowed at that point in time in the year, and I think we saw big numbers.
And it says 17 years, but it was 18 years. This is our 19th season now. I don't know if that was a mistake on my part or their part, but we had over 1,100 players of all ages in 6 event cities. We have 6 cities that host 8 tournaments: Elizabethtown, Bowling Green, Somerset, Glasgow, Campbellsville, and Columbia. Each tournament followed strict COVID-19 protocols of USTA and the local event sites. Despite the limitations on spectators, reduced contact, etc., CKTS provided a great summer of tennis, and they are looking forward to another strong year in 2021. Well, we're already off to a strong 2021, which we are going to talk more about on the next episode of this program.
One thing I wanted to say is that, we're happy to be a sanctioned tournament by the USTA, and it's a big tour. You mentioned over 1,100 players, but each of our tournament sites is a local tournament, and I think that really benefited us and benefited the tour last year because I know something else from our fall meeting that we discussed was that so many USTA tournaments were shut down because they're affiliated with a national organization, and they just shut everything down out of an abundance of caution. We had the ability, since we're locally run and locally controlled, that we could find a way to get it done. And, there are a lot of USTA tournaments that were not held last year because of the pandemic. And so for our tour to get all of them in speaks volumes.
And we sacrificed some locations. For example, in Campbellsville, half the matches are normally at Campbellsville University. Half the matches are normally at Miller Park, which is the base for the tournament. Campbellsville University would not allow the use of any of their facilities, not just tennis. I mean, there were no basketball camps, football camps, anything else. So we were not able to use their facilities at all. So we had to close the tournament to CKTS members only, and it was still very crowded. They were still lucky to finish the tournament when they did. There was actually also a little bit of rain because he started play on Friday night last year. He's starting play on Friday night again this year, by the way, for this next tournament. And there was a little bit of rain on Friday. I don't think they were able to play much at all. And Saturday morning, I think they may have gotten off to a late start. And still, somehow, eventually, that tournament completed on only 6 courts. It's extremely difficult to have a tournament on such a small number of courts, as many of us know.
And he didn't change format or anything? He didn't go to no ad or anything like that?
I honestly don't remember. I think we did that in the Columbia tournament because we only have 8 available courts there and had a large turnout. And I don't recall. That's a good question. I don't recall if we had to do that at Campbellsville last year or not. We may have. I don't know for sure. Okay, so I just wanted to talk a few minutes about what happened with this podcast and why it disappeared for so long. Last summer in mid-July, I got a professional opportunity that I had been seeking for a long time. And I went from being a classroom teacher for 25 years to the digital learning coach for the Russell County School District. So that was a professional goal for me. The pandemic necessitated it. Grants funded it, and I interviewed for it, and I got it. But that's my new job now for the foreseeable future. And it really kept me busy at the end of the summer on into the fall. And I just never got back into the rhythm of doing this podcast. And then another event that happened also last summer is that my father-in-law, Terry, passed away. And I was named the executor of his estate. So we have been dealing with clearing out his things. Now we're in the process of remodeling his house. And I don't know if you've ever been through a remodel, Chad.
Well, I live in one.
Okay. So then, okay. But so now we're still going through, we're still really in the early stages of that. So as with any hobby project, once you fall out of a habit of it's harder even then to get back in. But hopefully today starts a new habit and a new rhythm, and we get to do this more often. And so that's where we've been. And I'm glad to be back. I've thought about this daily all spring and summer, and I'm glad to finally get back on here and have some podcasts, especially for all 10 people that listen. I don't know how many. I mean, I'm going to go over some locations at the end of the show. Some new, I do that from time to time, new states and countries that are downloading this podcast, probably accidentally. But anyway, we'll talk about that in a little bit later. But on the next program, by the way, we're going to go into tournament results from this season. So we don't spend any more time on that right now. We are going to cover, though, the point standings from 2020, because we stopped podcasting in July. It was on Bastille Day, the 14th, as a matter of fact. And all the rest of the tournaments didn't get covered on this program. I can't go back and cover all of those results, but we can at least look at the point standings for 2020, the runners-up and champions in those divisions. I'll start, Chad, with men's open singles. So for in 2020, the CKTS points race standings, men's open singles runner-up was James Chen, and the champion was Alex Spalding with 14 points.
In men's B singles, Billy Edge was the runner-up, and Troy Young was the champion with 17 points.
I still have Billy Edge's second place trophy. We've tried to meet up. We live in the same county. We've tried to meet up, and so I can give that to him, and it keeps falling through. So it is actually in my office at work. In men's C singles, the runner-up was Rex Hansen, and the champion was Zachary Turner.
In men's 40 singles, Jackson Grover was the runner-up, and Jody Bingham was the champion with 15 points.
We actually had a tie for runner-up there.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, you're right. Daryl McGill and Jackson Grover both had 8 points, and Jody Bingham won with 16 points.
Congratulations to those guys. In the boys 18 singles, the runner-up was Jason Toll, and the champion was Lucas McFall.
In boys 15 singles, Ben Handsome was the runner-up, and Jackson Donovan was the winner with 14 points.
Let me jump back to 18 singles for just 1 second, and because Lucas McFall is a hometown boy here in Russell County and plays tennis for Russell County High School. He is the first ever singles player from Russell County High School to win a round at the state tournament. We've had a team win a doubles round. We've never had a boy or girl, as far as I know, win a singles round, and Lucas McFall was the first to do that, and I wanted to give him a shout out. Also, congratulations to those guys in boys 15 singles, Ben Hansen and champion Jackson Donovan. In boys 12 singles,
and I guess I have to,
go ahead.
Get in trouble if I don't do the same. I mean,
Jackson, please.
It plays for me at South Warren, so and he just went up and played in the Creason and made the quarterfinals.
Awesome. It's a big, tough tournament there. Boys 12 singles, Nathaniel Hill is the runner-up, and Ben Hansen is the champion.
In men's open doubles, the runner-up, I guess you would say.
No, it's a tie for championship. There is no runner-up.
There's no runner-up.
Nope.
The champion is the champions are guys who played together, and they are Orle Suazo and Daryl McGill with 11.5 points.
Those two guys played the first 5 tournaments and didn't miss any of them. And then one of them was going to be traveling abroad. And I think that kind of made it fall apart. But still, they won enough points to take the championship. And those are, I think, 2 more trophies I have in my garage, maybe. Next is men's B doubles. And we do have a runner-up there. June Tomioka is the runner-up. And the champion of men's B doubles is Jared McDonald.
Men's C doubles, no runner-up. We have 2 champions. It is a father-son team. It is Steve and Nolan Parsons.
In men's 40 doubles, the runner-up is Brad Hales, and the champion is Jackson Grover,
who played together the majority of the time.
Yep.
But late in the season, Jackson played with another partner. Brad didn't play, and Jackson, therefore, is the winner. We go to boys 18 doubles. We have a 3-way tie for runner-up between Mason Baldwin, Keegan Christensen, and Jason Towle. And the champion is Jacob Juronic with 19 points.
In women's open singles, we did not have a qualifier for runner-up, but Arden Deathridge, who played 3 tournaments, is our champion of women's open singles. She actually won all 3 tournaments that she played. So congratulations to Arden.
In women's B singles, Samantha Romine is the runner-up, and Amber Wolf is the champion with 8 points.
In girls 18 singles, Sarah Dunn is the runner-up, and Arden Deathridge, again, is the champion of girls 18 singles.
Girls 15 singles, Erin Riney is the runner-up, and Sarah Dunn is the champion with 18 points. She won 3 of the 7 tournaments.
Yes.
Tournaments that she played in.
She played in 6, it looks like, and she won 3 of them and was runner-up once.
That's right.
In girls 12 singles, Chloe Dickens was the runner-up, and by a 2-point margin, Claire Riney is the champion of girls 12 singles.
It's one of our more competitive races there.
It is.
In women's open doubles, the champions were Cheryl Hensel and Trina Rickard with 18 points.
Women's B doubles, the runners-up, there's a tie for runner-up. It's Shelly Doty and Amber Wolf, and the champion of women's B doubles is Jennifer Lawley.
The girls' 18 doubles, there was just a champion, and it is Megan Martin and Ainsley Stowball, who are both South Warren players as well.
Looks like they were partners in 3 tournaments, and they played with other partners in 2 other tournaments, and they still end up at the end with the same number of points. Co-champions. Yep. Mixed open doubles. The runners-up, or the male runner-up is Steve Humphries. The female runner-up is Susan Hadley. And the champions of mixed open doubles are myself, Chris Godby, and my lovely partner, Trina Rickard.
It's a pretty high point total also.
Well, we did play all 8 tournaments.
And you won, looks like 4 of them.
We did. We're not off to such a great start this year, however. So,
In mixed B doubles, the male runner-up is Larry Kohler. The female runner-up is Amber Wolf. And the champions are Barry Burrows for the men and Cheryl Hensel for the women.
In mixed 18 and under doubles, the runners-up, the female runner-up is Megan Martin. The male runner-up is Jacob Jeranek. Am I saying that right, Chad?
Jeranek, I believe.
Jeranek, I'm sorry, Jacob Jeranek. And the champions, the male champion is Keegan Christensen. The female champion is Ainsley Stowball, which looks like they played together a couple of times and had other partners the rest of the way. Okay. And that's a look back at the point standings at the end of the year for the 2020 season. New point standings will be updated soonish, as that's the best that I can say, soonish. Hopefully after the third tournament here, the E-Town Open, which, by the way, we are in the midst of the E-Town Open. The State Farm E-Town Open started last Friday night. They played several matches on Friday, and they had a delayed start Saturday morning because of the weather. It finally got started maybe around 10 a.m., played until 5 p.m., I was warming up in mixed doubles, just getting ready to play a quarterfinal round, and a massive downpour happened and essentially washed out the rest of the weekend because rain came and went all night, all morning, all day Sunday, and they canceled Sunday matches. It's moved to this Saturday, the 17th, and the weather again, Chad, looks very iffy for tomorrow in Elizabethtown. So not quite sure what they're going to do. One potential plan is, as long as next weekend's Campbellsville tournament finishes on time in one weekend, then it will resume after Campbellsville, after the Miller Park Tennis Classic. If not, I'm really not sure what we'll do, Chad. This is kind of uncharted territory. You know, we've often had tournaments get delayed and moved to the next weekend. We've never had one that I can remember get moved into multiple weekends because of continued rain.
Yeah, and we've been pretty fortunate so far. My tournament back in June, and then Trina's 2 weeks after, both of them, there were some pretty decent chances of rain Saturday and Sunday, and I think we both stayed dry throughout. And so all of our good fortune apparently went away, and Karen didn't get a whole lot of help last weekend. And this weekend doesn't look very good here. I'm sure it doesn't look very good up there either.
Right. And, I'll defend you, tournament directors. It's such a difficult decision to look at a forecast and try to decide whether to call the whole thing off and move it, or to try to get in part of the day. There have been times when the forecast looks horrible on Friday night, and so you go ahead and move it completely to the next weekend, and then it ends up raining very little or none, and you're at the mercy of the forecasters, but ultimately you're at the mercy of Mother Nature, and you're just doing the best you can. Now, I did speak with Karen Henson today, the director of the State Farm E-Town Open. And, she's watching the forecasts as they update, and she's going to make an informed decision. It may not come until tomorrow morning, but she has mentioned that the players have been very understanding, and that's great. They should be very understanding because she can't control that rain.
Yeah, and I tell you, from our perspective in Bowling Green, and I would say Glasgow as well, I mean, we're really excited about the indoor facility that's nearing completion because that will make things a lot easier, where if you do have some rain on the weekend, it doesn't completely put you in that decision where you have to see, well, can we get something in? What can we get in? And then have to move some things. Hopefully the indoor facility will allow us a little bit more of a clear path to getting tournaments finished.
I wish all of our tournament cities had an indoor facility that we could take advantage of in a situation like that, but I'm afraid we're a long way away from that. But at least Bowling Green is working on theirs. And when do you expect that may open?
November is what I've heard.
Okay.
There was some talk about it possibly being available early in the fall. We host the state mixed doubles tournament in September.
Mm-hmm.
There was some talk that maybe it might be available, but they ran into some supply issues like a lot of businesses have in the last year, and so that kind of slowed things down. But the last I heard, November was the target date.
All building projects of any kind are under a massive strain right now, even if it's remodeling. I mean, materials are short and expensive. Labor is, well, everyone doesn't have their full workforce right now, let's just say, and leave it at that. But, you know, people in construction of all kinds are having some problems right now getting projects finished, but hopefully that'll get on track and get completed soon. Let's, speaking of what's coming up soon, let's look at what's next on our tour. The Miller Park Tennis Classic is next weekend, July 24th and 25th in Campbellsville, Kentucky. That's one of the oldest tournaments on this tour. The deadline to enter it is this coming Tuesday, July 20th at 6 p.m. Eastern Time. You can go to CKTStour.com to register for that. The next tournament will be the Alton Blakely Lake Cumberland Open, August 7th and 8th at Somerset, Kentucky. The deadline for that will be Tuesday, August 3rd at 6 p.m. Eastern Time. Those entries will open on Monday, July 26th. And again, just go to CKTStour.com for all the details. Our tournaments are USTA sanctioned for juniors as Southern Level 6 and for adults as Kentucky Level 100. Well, if you have any announcements that you would like broadcast on this program, you can send your tennis events to info@gamesetmatchkentucky.com. If you're having a tournament, a league, a clinic, some kind of tennis social event, send it to me. I'll be sure we get it on the program. You can also keep up with events at USTA Kentucky. Just visit KentuckyTennis.com. or on social media, on Facebook and Twitter, follow at USTA Kentucky with the word Kentucky spelled out. They'll keep you updated on tournaments, grants, events, team events, and everything like that. This week, we don't have a challenge the call question, Chad, but I always look forward to those and look forward to talking about those. So if you have a situation that you want to ask about, maybe it's about a CKTS policy, maybe it's just a general tennis rule question. Like, what do you do when you're in the middle of a point and a bird flies on the court and poops on your racket? You know, you may have a question like that on how to handle that. And we may not know the answer, but we will pretend that we do. And we'll talk through it and try to appear intelligent, whether we know the real rule or not. So if you want to challenge the call, just send us an email to challenge@gamesetmatchky.com. That will just about serve out this welcome back edition of Game Set Match Kentucky. It's been fun to be back, and I want to thank everybody that's listening. I hope we didn't lose anyone permanently. I hope you'll come back. And if you're just found our website and you're listening there, go ahead and use the mobile app on your phone, any podcast app. We're on basically all major podcast platforms like Apple Podcasts and Spotify, iHeart, all of those, Google Podcasts. Just go and search for Game Set Match Kentucky and subscribe there. I wanted to say hello to new listeners that we've picked up since last year in locations around the United States and around the world. We now have listeners in Arizona for some reason, but welcome to those of you in Arizona. And Chad, we picked up since last year 4 new countries that are downloading this podcast, either intentionally or accidentally. I'd like to...
do you know where all of them are at on a map?
On a map? No, I have a list, but yeah, I know where they are on a map. Yeah, I mean, like, you want to play a game to see if I can locate the countries on a map? I was a social studies teacher for 25 years, okay?
Are they well-known countries, or, you know, are they places where you or I or anybody might have trouble finding on the map?
These are countries that the average American would not be able to locate them on a map. No.
Curious to see how I'll do.
We need to play that game sometime. But, like, for example, okay, Finland is one of the new ones. Finland. And I know it's up there in Scandinavia, but if I just had to guess on a blank map which one it was, I might miss it.
I think it's, I want to say that Finland is in the middle. Like, isn't it? You got Denmark above Germany, and then I think it's Sweden, Finland, Norway, or vice versa. You're going to look at it on a map.
I am. I'm bringing up the map.
We're going to see if I'm an idiot or not.
Okay, hold on. We're almost there. All right, I just got to share my screen.
Goes. Oh, this is technology, folks. So I think it goes Sweden, Finland, and then Norway. I can't see that.
Okay, so here's Finland. Can you see my mouse?
On the right.
Yeah.
It's on
so it wasn't in the middle. Sweden was in the middle.
Oh, so what's on the left?
So it's Norway, Sweden, and Finland.
Norway, Sweden.
Left to right, yeah.
Okay. Well, so, yeah. It was in Scandinavia. I would have got that part right.
We do already have listeners in Sweden.
Right.
So now we have listeners in Finland.
Right.
I don't see Norway listed, but I'm sure they'll come along. Come on, get in the game, Norway. Let's just zoom in on the European map here, because we also now have listeners in the Netherlands.
Okay, yeah, I know where the Netherlands is. That one's not too hard.
Yeah, so just right here northwest of Germany. And so welcome to the Dutch listeners that we have. There are listeners in Singapore.
Okay.
Singapore. Now, that's going to be a little bit of a challenge, I'll be honest.
Yeah,
there it is. I found it pretty quickly. Look at me.
Okay.
All right, there's Singapore. So
south of Vietnam and south of Laos. So,
and finally, a new country where we have picked up listeners is in France.
Okay, well,
so
if you can't find France on the map, you got bigger problems.
Bienvenue to our listeners in France, and merci beaucoup for listening to us. And I hope you had a great Bastille Day, and we're all enjoying watching the Tour de France. That's a bicycle race, right, Chad?
Yeah, that one lady, she had a sign.
Yeah. Oh, man, that poor lady. She jumps out in front of the riders. This was a few weeks ago. She jumps out in front of the riders. She causes a massive crash, which ended the race for some of the riders due to injury. And then she disappears. She hides. And I think the police found her like 2 days later. And do you know what her sentence was? Which justice in France is swift, by the way. I mean, like, you're arrested and you get your sentence just a few days later. I think she was just fined a few $100.
I mean, she didn't mean to hurt anybody.
No, she didn't mean to hurt anybody, but she also fled the scene. We all might have done the same thing. Who knows?
We could challenge the call there, but we're not going to.
Sure. In your podcast app or in iTunes on your computer. Actually, it's not in iTunes anymore. So it's, I guess it's the Apple Podcast app now on your computer. I need to update this in my notes. So in your podcast app, whatever it is, whether it's on the phone or computer, please write us a short review and give us a 5-star rating. And you can also visit GameSetMatchKentucky.com or GameSetMatchKY.com for all of our episodes and show notes and more. I'd like to encourage you to like our Facebook page. It's at GameSetMatchKY, or you can just search on Facebook for Game Set Match Kentucky, the podcast. You can also follow us on Twitter at GameSetMatchKY. Chad, as you can see, if you're watching the video, he's on Twitter at Chad Young Radio. I'm on Twitter at Chris Godby. LakeNet Media Incorporated provides the web hosting for this program. If you're looking for a dependable web host, you can reach out at 757 LakeNet, which is 757-525-3638. Thanks again to our sponsors, Vision Cabinet Source, and we welcome again our new sponsor, Family Medical Centers. If you'd like to sponsor this program, send an email to info@gamesetmatchky.com. Oh, Chad, there's that noise again. I have missed this sound. And Hawkeye says we are out. So until next time, I'm Chris Godby with Chad Young. Chad, I appreciate it once again, you lending us your time.
My pleasure.
And this has been Game Set Match Kentucky. I was still showing a map of Europe that whole time.
Yeah, I wondered if you switch off.
I need a producer. See, I'm looking at other tabs. You know, I was looking at my notes on one tab in a Google Doc, and here the video stream. I'm not seeing it at the same time. So I you know what I need? This is a good excuse for me to get another monitor. What do you think?
There you go.
I'll just say, honey, I have to have another monitor. I mean, you know, how am I going to run a legit program here if I can't see what I'm doing? You know, this stupid earpiece. Hold on. Oh, man. Dang, I cannot get this stupid thing in here. Okay, I know what I'm doing. I'm trying to put the left earpiece in my right ear.
That'll do it.